Hi, this is Pim from Smart Diabetics Academy. Today I want to talk a bit about what to do if you have just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So in this video, I'm going to go through the 5 most important things that you need to do if you have just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I also want to show you some of the false information that you can find on the internet that literally will kill you. So some people who have just been diagnosed with diabetes, they are getting help, and that's all good. But I hear so many stories about people who are literally being told that you have diabetes, then they're being sent home with the advice of eating better and start exercising more. And that's it. There's no talk of any type of diabetes education or meeting with a nutritionist. This just isn't good enough. Unfortunately, I also see a lot of people who are offered diabetes education classes where they provide horrible advice that will just make your diabetes worse. So I really want to set this straight. Okay? So number 1, if you literally came home from the hospital after being diagnosed, you found this video and you're watching it, I want you to relax. Like, take a deep breath and relax. Because type 2 diabetes is reversible. There's no need for you to panic. Just relax. With the right type of diet, you can come back in a few months, take another H1C test, and pretty much get undiagnosed again. So that's the good news. But you need to relax, because when you're stressing, when you release a lot of stress hormones, your sugar levels will go even higher and just make things worse. So try to relax a little bit. Number 2, you need to learn as much as you can about diabetes. Feel free to sit here, watch my videos, listen to my advice. I think I know what I'm talking about. But you don't know that. So if you need to go and do your research to verify that what I'm saying is legit, please do so. I want you to get educated. I want everyone to get educated, find their own logic and their own proof that what I'm saying is the right thing to do, because it makes sense biologically. Do not trust governments or any government-funded organizations like the American Diabetes Association. I say that not because I think that they are doing things on purpose, shall we say. They have rules and guidelines for what they can and should say. Because they are funded, they have restrictions in what they can tell you. I don't get paid for sitting on YouTube telling you these things. I have nothing to gain from telling you these things. I am telling you these things because this is what I have found. I'm not saying that all advice on ADA's website, for example, is a lot of BS. Some of it is legit, some of it is good, but when it comes to diet, it really isn't good. And I want you to know that. And there are a few other things as well that I might not agree with. But generally, they are there to try and help you, but their diet advice, don't listen to it. I want you to get your information from someone who is looking for real proof and real science, or you can go and read your own science. I don't care how you get it, but you need to understand how diabetes works and why you should not be eating what the general food guidelines actually recommend you to eat. If you're following the advice on, let's say, the ADA's website, you will be able to maybe manage your diabetes a bit so-so, I would say, but you will not be able to reverse it. And I want you to get well again. I want you to get rid of your diabetes. I want you to be able to reverse it. So that's what I'm talking about. If you have no interest in reversing it, then you can go to the ADA's website and just read the recipes and follow that. That's fine with me. But I want you to know that you have the choice. So that obviously leads me into diet, which is number 3. So this is where you have to make a decision. You can't eat the cake and still have it. I'm sorry. I wish we could do that, but we can't. So if you have been sent home with high blood sugar and no medications, you can just go all in straight away, no problem. If you have been sent home but you've been put on medications, you need to know whether this is a blood glucose lowering medication or if it has some other mechanism of action in your body before you get started. Because when it comes to a blood sugar lowering medication, if you remove all the sugars all of a sudden, you might get a hypo, as in low blood sugar, and you might not feel very well. So just keep that in mind. Either way, whether you are on medications or not, you need to start changing your diet now, today. You need to start on a ketogenic diet. You need to remove all the sugars, all starches, all grains, even starchy vegetables, even healthy whole grains, and you need to replace them with healthy fats. And I'll talk about this in a little bit. Number 4, I need you to start tracking your blood sugar ASAP. You need to know how you react to different foods, how you react to exercise if you're doing exercise, how you react to stress, etc. You need to start tracking things. This is really important because certain types of foods, even low-carb foods, can trigger some people. Although most natural low-carb foods in their natural state are unlikely to raise your blood sugar much. But there are some foods that actually do that. And number 5, exercise. This is not mandatory, but it's always good to exercise, and it can also be a very good help, or a big help, when it comes to lowering your blood sugar initially. So if you've been sent home from the doctors and you have a blood sugar of 300 milligrams per deciliter, maybe more, maybe slightly less, but it's high, you're not on medications and you want to lower it, the best thing you can do is get some exercise. You don't have to go to the gym, although that's perfectly fine if you want to do that. Many people like just walking after having eaten as a way to help clearing the blood from the excess blood sugar that is there. So if you do that, make sure that it's a brisk walk, so that it's a moderate intensity exercise. That is going to be most efficient for you. Right, so let me just share some of the foods that I think that you should be focusing on. So you want to focus on things like meat from pastured-fed animals, wild-caught fish, eggs, non-starchy leafy vegetables are good. Avocados are good because they have a lot of potassium, other nutrients. They are obviously very popular. I love them. But they do contain some carbs, so don't eat more than one of those per day. Raw nuts, you can have a small handful, maybe once a day. But make sure that they're raw because they're much healthier than the roasted ones, unfortunately. Things that you want to avoid are things like beans and legumes that you've probably been told is really good for you. They're very carby, they're not that good for you. All grains, anything containing sugar, including most fruits, any tubers, potatoes, sweet potatoes, whatever it is, any root vegetables. Things like quinoa, amaranth, jams, and other supposedly healthy starch-filled new or ancient grains, those kind of things that no one had heard about in 30 years ago, and now it's all the rage. And you want to avoid the normal controversial, the vegetable oils that everyone is discussing as being heart healthy or not, etc. You can have coconut oil and olive oil in moderation. So if you want to have a little bit of olive oil on your salad, fine, go ahead with that. If you want to use a little bit of coconut oil to fry food in, go ahead with that, but don't fry in the olive oil. So the best fats to consume, in my opinion, are beef tallow, pastured butter, coconut oil, lard, bone marrow, and MCT oil. And I have actually added MCT oil here specifically for people who have just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, but it also goes for people who have never been in ketosis and want to get into ketosis quicker. MCT oils do not generally get consumed for energy, so they will be turned into ketones quicker, which will teach your body how to use these ketones for energy, and it might help you feel a little bit more energetic when you're making the shift. So this is a good transition oil. You don't need to keep taking it, but it can be quite handy in the beginning. Right, so I also want to mention dairy, because for some people dairy works really well, and if it does, you can eat as much as you like, but for some people it raises their blood sugar. So if that's you, unfortunately, you will have to eliminate dairy from your diet as well, or just eat very, very small portions of it so that your blood sugar doesn't go up a lot. You're gonna have to measure and play around with that and see where your sweet spot is. So you have to test that yourself. I can't give you a fast and hard rule here because everyone is different. Now, I want to show you this that I found on internet with regards to, this was their advice to someone who had just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So it says, recognize that type 2 diabetes is a progressive disease. When people are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, they have already lost up to 50% of their beta cell function. So the beta cells are the cells in your pancreas that creates insulin and releases insulin, I should say. This is completely false. You can reverse your diabetes and you can get all function back in your beta cells if you have lost any function in your beta cells. If it's type 2 diabetes we're talking about. Type 1 diabetes is a completely different story. I don't deal with that. Believing that this statement is true can do you a lot more harm than good. Because then medication is the only thing that makes sense. Okay, I'm sick with diabetes, I've lost function in 50% of my beta cells. What can I do? What should I do? Whoops. The only thing that makes sense is for me to go on medications to help me and slow this down. So that is just changing your mindset from trying to solve the problem to trying to manage diabetes. And this is what is so dangerous, because when all you're trying to do is manage your disease, that is what you're going to do. It's going to get progressively worse until you lose a limb, or you have to have a renal transplant, or you go blind, or something other horrible. So please keep in mind that I believe that pretty much every type 2 diabetic can reverse their diabetes. And if someone says, no, I've been on a low carb diet for that long and it didn't help, I would love to get in contact with you. So if that is you, please send me an email at pim@smartdiabeticsacademy.com, because I would really love to talk to you and try to help you. Maybe do a case study that we can showcase on YouTube even, if that was your thing. Anyhow, so I'm here to tell you now that you can turn this around, and if you're newly diagnosed, it's not going to be that hard for you. It's usually harder for people that have had the disease for 20-30 years because it has progressed that far. So if your healthcare team can't provide the help that you need, I would really encourage you to try and find a good low carb diabetes nutritionist or diabetes coach or something like that. Just do your research, make sure that they can help you with your diet, but also that they can help troubleshooting and tracking things over time. And it's also important that they know a little bit about the medications that you're taking, so that they can take things into consideration and work with you. You should still be in contact with your doctor, but you need someone knowledgeable to work with you if you need help. Obviously, you are more than welcome to get in touch with me, but the most important thing is that it's getting done, that you are doing this. I don't care if you work with me, if you work with someone else, or if you're doing it on your own. I just want you to do it. So don't sit around and think about it for too long. Each day you delay is one more day lost. So please get started today. Start cutting the grains, the sugars, lower everything that has carbs in it and get on with it, because you can reverse your diabetes. So if you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell so that you will get notified the next time I'm releasing a new video. And you're obviously also welcome to give this video a thumbs up to help spreading the message. See you in the next video.